Imagine waking up in 2026 to find your insulin costs suddenly slashed, your rental apartment finally guaranteed a working fridge and stove, and plastic bags vanishing from every checkout line you use. These aren't distant policy dreams, they're brand new California laws hitting right now, reshaping how you shop, work, pay bills, and even build a family. Hidden in plain sight, these changes deliver real money in your pocket, stronger protections, and a cleaner environment. Yet most people still haven't noticed the massive shift underway.
Number 1. Insulin cost caps, SB 40. California has taken a major step to make life-saving medication more affordable with SB 40, which caps insulin copays at $35 for a 30-day supply starting January 1, 2026. This applies to large group health plans regulated by the state right away, with small group and individual plans following in 2027. The law also bans step therapy requirements, meaning insurers cannot force patients to try cheaper alternatives before covering the prescribed insulin. Additionally, plans must include at least one insulin option in every form and concentration on their formularies. For millions dealing with diabetes, this change directly reduces the financial burden that often leads people to ration doses or skip them entirely, which can cause serious health complications like hospitalizations or long-term damage. Imagine a family where a parent or child relies on daily insulin injections. The previous high costs created constant stress over bills, sometimes forcing tough choices between groceries and medicine. Now, with this cap, those out-of-pocket expenses stay predictable and manageable, allowing better focus on health management rather than finances. The state is also expanding access through programs like CalRx for low-cost, state-branded insulin, further driving down prices through competition. This builds on national efforts, but stands out as one of the strongest protections in regulated plans, helping especially those without employer coverage that might already have similar limits. This law reflects California's push for healthcare affordability, directly impacting over 13 million people in state-regulated plans who could benefit from lower costs. It prevents underuse of insulin due to price barriers and supports better diabetes control overall. If you or someone you know uses insulin, check your plan details to see how this applies and discuss with your doctor about any needed adjustments.
Number 2. Workplace Sexual Assault Cover-Up Claims Window, AB 250. California's AB 250 opens a temporary 2-year window from January 1, 2026 through December 31, 2027 for adult survivors of workplace sexual assault to file civil claims that were previously barred by expired statutes of limitations. This law targets situations where employers or entities allegedly covered up prior allegations of sexual assault or harassment, allowing survivors to seek damages even if the incident happened years ago. Public entities are exempt, focusing the relief on private employers or organizations responsible for the cover-up. The revival applies specifically to claims involving sexual assault or inappropriate sexual conduct, where an entity or its agents concealed wrongdoing, giving survivors a fresh chance at accountability and compensation. Picture a longtime employee who endured harassment years earlier but stayed silent due to fear, threats, or company pressure. Now, this law removes the time barrier that once protected those who hid the truth. It empowers individuals to come forward without the usual deadline constraints, potentially leading to settlements, policy changes, or stronger workplace safeguards. By lifting these limits temporarily, the legislation acknowledges how cover-ups delay healing and justice, often leaving victims isolated while perpetrators face no consequences. This approach builds on prior revival windows, but narrows to workplace-related cover-ups, making it highly targeted for those impacted in professional settings. Overall, AB 250 promotes greater transparency and deterrence in workplaces across California, affecting thousands who may have felt silenced by time or fear. It encourages employers to foster safer environments and address complaints promptly to avoid future liability. If this resonates with your experiences or someone close to you, consider consulting a qualified attorney to explore options during this limited period. Knowledge of your rights can make a real difference in seeking resolution. Number 3. Landlord-provided appliances, AB 628. California's AB 628 makes a significant change to rental habitability standards by requiring landlords to provide a working stove and refrigerator in all rental units for leases entered into, amended, or extended on or after January 1, 2026. Previously, while many landlords supplied these essentials, it wasn't mandated statewide, leading to inconsistencies, especially in areas like Southern California, where tenants sometimes had to bring or buy their own appliances. The law adds these items to the list of requirements for a dwelling to be considered tenantable under Civil Code Section 1941.1, ensuring they are in good working order, capable of safely cooking food and storing perishables. Tenants and landlords can mutually agree for the tenant to provide their own refrigerator, if documented properly, but the stove must always come from the landlord, no opt-out there. If an appliance faces a manufacturer or public recall, the landlord must repair or replace it within 30 days of notice. Think about moving into a new apartment only to discover no fridge or stove, forcing an immediate expense and hassle of shopping, transporting, and installing heavy items. Now that burden shifts to the property owner for most situations. This levels the playing field for renters facing affordability challenges, as basic kitchen functionality becomes a guaranteed part of a livable home rather than an optional perk. It addresses long-standing complaints from tenants who felt disadvantaged in negotiations or stuck with substandard setups, while giving landlords clear guidelines to prepare, such as checking lease renewal dates and budgeting for potential purchases or repairs. Local enforcement handles complaints, meaning tenants can report issues to housing departments if needed. This measure directly benefits millions of California's renters by promoting fairer housing conditions and reducing unexpected costs tied to essentials. It supports overall stability in the rental market amid ongoing affordability pressures. If you're a tenant or landlord, review your lease terms soon to understand how this applies. Reach out to local housing resources or legal aid for guidance on compliance and rights.
Number 4. Plastic Bag Ban Expansion, SB 1053. California's SB 1053 fully eliminates plastic carryout bags at checkout starting January 1, 2026, closing a major loophole from the 2014 ban under SB 270. That earlier law prohibited thin single-use plastic bags but allowed thicker ones marketed as reusable, often used just once and rarely recycled. Now, no plastic bags of any thickness or labeling are permitted at grocery stores, pharmacies, large retailers with pharmacies, convenience stores, food marts, or liquor stores. Retailers can offer recycled paper bags for a minimum charge of 10 cents each, and customers are strongly encouraged to bring their own reusable bags. Exemptions exist for specific needs, like protecting items from damage, containing unwrapped food, or preventing contamination. Plus, compostable bags for produce remain allowed, and those on food assistance programs get paper bags free. This shift forces a habit change for millions who relied on those thicker bags as backups, but it directly tackles persistent plastic pollution that harms oceans, wildlife, and landfills. Stores had over a year to prepare, phasing out inventory and adjusting supply chains, so most are ready with paper alternatives or promotions for reusables. The law aims to cut visible waste dramatically, as those reusable plastics still contributed heavily to environmental harm, despite intentions. This expansion strengthens California's leadership in reducing single-use plastics, impacting everyday shopping for residents and visitors alike, while promoting sustainable habits. It aligns with broader goals like cutting plastic production statewide. Shoppers can adapt easily by keeping reusable bags handy. Many stores sell durable options affordably. If you're in California, start carrying your own bags now to avoid fees and support cleaner communities. Check local grocer policies for smooth transitions.
Number 5. Minimum wage increase.
California's minimum wage rises again on January 1, 2026, climbing to $16.50 per hour for most employers statewide, up from the previous $16 rate. This adjustment follows the state's indexed system, which ties increases to inflation to keep pace with living costs. Fast food workers already saw a jump to $20 per hour in 2024 under separate legislation, and that sector remains at or above the new general rate. Healthcare workers face phased increases continuing into 2026 and beyond, with some facilities required to reach $23 or higher depending on size and type. Small businesses with 25 or fewer employees get a temporary lower threshold in some cases, but most must comply with the full $16.50 standard. The law also maintains requirements for overtime, meal breaks, and other protections that apply at the minimum wage level. Picture a retail worker, barista, or warehouse employee checking their next paycheck and seeing a noticeable bump. Those extra dollars add up quickly for covering rent, groceries, or family needs in one of the country's most expensive states. This isn't just pocket change. For full-time workers, the annual gain equates to roughly $1,040 more before taxes, providing breathing room amid persistent high costs for housing and essentials. Employers, especially in competitive labor markets, often adjust pay scales upward to attract and retain staff, creating ripple effects where slightly higher wage jobs also see modest boosts. The increase aims to reduce reliance on public assistance programs while encouraging businesses to invest in efficiency or training. This ongoing adjustment supports economic stability for low-wage workers across industries, affecting millions in retail, hospitality, agriculture, and service roles. It reflects California's commitment to addressing income inequality through regular, predictable raises. If you earn near minimum wage, verify your pay stub after the new year and discuss any questions with your employer or a local labor office. Staying informed ensures you receive the full benefit of these changes.
Number 6. Law Enforcement Face Covering Ban, SB 627. California's SB 627 prohibits most peace officers from wearing face coverings while on duty starting January 1, 2026, with narrow exceptions for specific safety or medical reasons. The law targets balaclavas, masks, or other coverings that obscure an officer's identity during public interactions, patrols, or crowd control situations. Officers may still use coverings for legitimate needs, such as protection against hazardous materials, extreme weather, or court-ordered anonymity in rare cases, but routine use to hide faces during arrests, traffic stops, or demonstrations is now banned. Violations can lead to administrative discipline, and the measure requires agencies to update policies and provide training on compliance. This builds on public concerns about accountability, especially in high-profile incidents where masked officers were involved in use-of-force events. Envision approaching a traffic stop or witnessing a protest and seeing officers' faces clearly. Names or badge numbers become easier to note, fostering trust through visibility rather than anonymity. Supporters argue this reduces the perception of militarization and makes it simpler to identify individuals for complaints or investigations, while critics worry about added risks in volatile environments. The law responds to years of advocacy from civil rights groups pushing for greater transparency in policing, aiming to strengthen community relations without compromising officer safety in genuine threat scenarios. Departments must balance these rules carefully, documenting any exceptions to avoid misuse. This change directly affects law enforcement practices statewide, promoting openness in interactions that shape public perception of police. It encourages clearer identification during encounters, potentially improving accountability and reducing tensions in diverse communities. If you interact with officers or follow policing issues, stay aware of how agencies implement this. Many will post updated policies online. Understanding these shifts helps residents know their rights and expectations during public safety situations.
Number 7. AI Transparency Requirements, SB 942. California's SB 942 introduces mandatory transparency rules for companies deploying generative AI tools that interact with consumers starting January 1, 2026. Under this law, any business offering AI systems capable of producing text, images, audio, or video must clearly disclose when content is AI-generated in a noticeable and unavoidable way, such as watermarks, labels like AI-generated, or prominent disclaimers at the start of interactions. This applies to chatbots, image creators, deepfake tools, and similar technologies used in commercial settings, including social media platforms, customer service bots, and marketing content. The requirement kicks in for systems that could reasonably mislead users about the source or authenticity of the output. Small businesses with fewer than 50 employees and limited revenue get a 1-year grace period until 2027, but larger entities must comply immediately. Violations can trigger civil penalties enforced by the state attorney general. Imagine scrolling through social media or chatting with what seems like a helpful support agent, only to later discover the responses or images were crafted by AI without any hint, leading to confusion, misinformation, or even scams. This law forces upfront honesty, helping users make informed decisions about trusting the content they encounter. It addresses rising concerns over AI deepfakes in elections, fraud, or manipulated media by making disclosure standard practice rather than optional. Companies have had time to integrate labeling features into their platforms, such as automatic tags or pop-up notices, ensuring the change feels seamless for most users while protecting against deception. This measure positions California as a leader in responsible AI governance, directly impacting consumers who engage with tech daily and businesses innovating in the space. It promotes ethical use without stifling development, encouraging clearer boundaries between human and machine-created content. If you frequently use AI tools or spot unlabeled outputs, report suspicious cases to state consumer protection channels. Your awareness helps enforce these new standards and keeps the digital environment more trustworthy.
Number 8. IVF Coverage Expansion, SB 729. California's SB 729 expands insurance coverage for infertility treatments, including in vitro fertilization, IVF, effective for health plans issued, amended, or renewed on or after January 1, 2026. This law requires fully insured large group employer plans regulated by the state to cover diagnosis and treatment of infertility, broadening the definition to include individuals unable to conceive due to medical or non-medical reasons, such as same-sex couples or single parents by choice. It mandates coverage for fertility preservation services like egg freezing and removes barriers that previously limited access based on marital status, gender identity, or sexual orientation. Self-funded plans, small group plans, religious organizations, and certain exemptions may not apply, but for qualifying plans, this means more comprehensive benefits without needing proof of specific medical infertility in all cases. Consider a couple or individual facing family-building challenges. Past high out-of-pocket costs for IVF cycles, often tens of thousands of dollars, created major financial hurdles that delayed or prevented parenthood. Now, with mandatory coverage under eligible plans, those expenses shift toward insurance responsibility, potentially covering multiple cycles, medications, and related procedures depending on plan details. This inclusive approach supports diverse family structures, aligning with California's emphasis on equitable reproductive health access and reducing disparities in fertility care. Insurers must update policies accordingly, and patients should expect prior authorizations or specific criteria, but the change opens doors that were previously closed for many. This legislation directly benefits thousands of Californians pursuing fertility options, easing the emotional and financial strain of infertility while promoting broader family planning rights.
It marks a progressive step in healthcare equity, especially for LGBTQ+ individuals and single parents. If you are in a qualifying plan or planning fertility treatments, contact your HR department or insurer to confirm renewal dates and coverage specifics. Early preparation can help maximize these new benefits and explore options with fertility specialists.
Number 9. Electric Bicycle Safety Standards, SB 1271. California's SB 1271 introduces stricter safety regulations for electric bicycles, e-bikes, effective January 1, 2026, aiming to reduce accidents and clarify rules on roads and trails. The law updates classifications: Class 1, pedal assist up to 20 miles per hour, Class 2, throttle assisted up to 20 miles per hour, and Class 3, pedal assist up to 28 miles per hour remain, but now requires all e-bikes sold or offered in the state to have permanently affixed labels indicating class, top speed, and motor wattage. Manufacturers must ensure batteries meet UL 2849 or equivalent safety standards to prevent fire risks, and retailers face penalties for selling non-compliant models. Helmets become mandatory for all riders under 18 on any e-bike class, with Class 3 riders of any age required to wear them. Local governments gained clearer authority to restrict Class 3 e-bikes on bike paths or multi-use trails unless designated otherwise, while Class 1 and 2 generally retain access similar to traditional bikes. Picture cruising along a coastal path or commuting through city streets on your e-bike. Now, spotting that clear class label on the frame reassures you and law enforcement about speed limits and trail eligibility, while a certified battery reduces worries over overheating incidents that made headlines in recent years. This pushes for higher quality, safer equipment in a booming market where e-bikes have surged in popularity for eco-friendly transport. Riders benefit from standardized rules that prevent confusion at rentals or secondhand purchases, and parents gain peace of mind with enforced helmet use for younger users. Enforcement focuses on education first, with fines escalating for repeat violations or sales of unsafe bikes. This law enhances road and trail safety for the growing number of e-bike users across California, balancing innovation and green mobility with protections against hazards. It supports sustainable commuting while addressing community concerns over speed and battery fires. If you own, ride, or plan to buy an e-bike, inspect your model for compliance labels and battery certifications. Check with local bike shops or the California Highway Patrol website for the latest guidance to stay safe and legal on every ride. Number 10. Food Delivery Platform Rules. California's new regulations for food delivery apps, primarily through AB 1228 extensions and related measures, take full effect January 1, 2026, imposing stricter rules on platforms like DoorDash, Uber Eats, and Grubhub to protect both consumers and restaurant workers. The laws cap service fees at 15% of the order's subtotal, down from higher previous levels in some cases, require clear, itemized breakdowns of all charges, including delivery, service, and small order fees, and mandate full tip transparency, meaning tips go directly to drivers without platform deductions or offsets against base pay. Platforms must also provide restaurants with accurate sales data monthly, prohibit deceptive menu pricing, like inflating listed prices to hide fees, and ensure refund policies cover undelivered or incorrect orders promptly. Gig workers gain stronger protections against deactivation without cause, with appeal processes required. Picture ordering takeout through an app, seeing the final total skyrocket with hidden fees, or wondering if your generous tip actually reached the driver. Now those practices face real limits, making costs more predictable and earnings fairer for delivery people hustling in busy cities. Restaurants benefit from better visibility into their earnings without surprise cuts, helping small businesses stay viable amid rising operational expenses. These changes stem from years of complaints about opaque pricing and worker exploitation, pushing platforms to operate more transparently while still allowing flexibility in the gig economy. Enforcement falls to the state labor commissioner and consumer protection agencies, with potential fines for non-compliance.
These rules reshape the everyday experience of ordering food delivery for millions of Californians, balancing convenience with fairness for restaurants, drivers, and customers alike. They promote trust in the apps many rely on for meals and income. If you use delivery services regularly, review your next receipt for clearer breakdowns and tip directly when possible. Share your thoughts in the comments about how these changes affect your orders or work. Stay updated on local enforcement for the best outcomes.
These new California laws taking effect in 2026 quietly reshape daily life in powerful ways, from capping insulin at $35 a month and guaranteeing appliances and rentals, to banning hidden plastic bags, boosting minimum wages, and enforcing transparency in AI, policing, fertility care, e-bikes, and food delivery. Together, they deliver tangible wins: lower healthcare and living costs, stronger worker and consumer protections, greater environmental responsibility, and fairer access to technology and family planning. Most Californians will feel these shifts in their wallets, homes, workplaces, and communities without fanfare. Yet the combined impact adds up to meaningful relief and progress amid rising expenses and complex challenges. Staying aware of these changes empowers you to maximize benefits, hold businesses accountable, and adapt smoothly. If any of these laws affect you directly, drop a comment below sharing your experience or questions. What surprised you most? Like this video if it opened your eyes, subscribe for more breakdowns of laws and policies that actually matter, and hit the bell so you never miss updates. Check out our related videos on California's 2026 changes for deeper dives. Thanks for watching. Let's keep the conversation going.